Now the next thing that I want to show you is a movie that was supposed to come out in 2007. Now this movie was produced by the people that made American Pie, and I believe that this was Hollywood's attempt to show the world that yes, Elvis Presley is alive. But for some reason, this movie was not released, and we never heard anything else about it. Now this film is called The Truth About Elvis, and it was set to be released in August of 2007. So here's the movie trailer from this film, The Truth About Elvis.
There's a chance, just a chance, that he could still be alive out there.
He was probably more famous than anybody who's ever been famous.
Nobody knows about 2 weeks before he passed away and him telling them that he had to go away and he wouldn't be able to see them anymore. Now, why would he make a statement like that?
People that worked at the hospital still claim to this day that the body they brought in was not Elvis Presley.
They were going to steal, in effect, Elvis's body.
So I orchestrated, put together, and carried out the Elvis Presley body snatch.
All right, there's an Elvis party in 1 hour and 20 minutes. I got a buddy coming to get me, and we are gonna go down there, and I'm gonna get some evidence.
My mother was at the funeral, and a few days later she said, yeah, well, you know, they can do a lot with wax figures these days. A lot of people think he's in the Bahamas.
I remember some of them breaking down and saying, nope, that's not Elvis.
Millions of Elvis Presley fans believe the king lives on.
Elvis Presley came into our restaurant and ordered a Whopper with cheese, no onion, and a fry and a drink.
Elvis was ahead of me in line.
I got down, I turned him over on his back, and I knew he was dead.
If Elvis faked his death, he did a heck of a good job.
Elvis's name spelled differently on his birth certificate and on his tombstone.
They believe he's dead. Hey, that's their belief. Let them believe it. They're stupid.
Scouring Memphis and every corner of America, one film investigates the world's most famous urban legend.
Is Elvis still alive?
Alright, there it was, the movie trailer for The Truth About Elvis, a movie that was supposed to be released in August of 2007. Now I find it very strange that they were advertising this movie and then it just disappeared. It was never released and we never heard anything else about it. Now I believe that this is showing us that there is people who's trying to prevent the truth that Elvis Presley is alive from getting out. They don't want us to know. Alright, now what I want to do is show you probably one of the oldest clues today showing us that Elvis Presley did not die. Now what I'm getting ready to show you is 2 issues of the National Enquirer that came out right after they told us Elvis had died. Now the first one is September 6, 1977. And what you're going to see on the cover of this is a picture of Elvis supposedly in the casket. Now what you're going to see is what appears to be a little Elvis. He looks like Elvis Presley from the movies back in the 60s, a little Elvis. Now, the second issue came out on September 20th, 1977, and this picture was supposed to have been taken just hours before Elvis supposedly died. And you will see Elvis in his car waving. And Notice in these two pictures, in the second picture from the September 20th issue, you see Elvis. He's a little bigger. He looks more like Elvis Presley at the time that they told us he died, versus the September 6th issue, the photo of Elvis supposedly in this casket. Now the casket, you've got a little Elvis. And the funeral took place the very next day. So I believe that this is showing us that it was not Elvis Presley in the casket. And another thing about this is, it's very strange that the only publication at the time to have this picture was the National Enquirer, America's most discreditable magazine. So here are these pictures from the September 6th issue and the September 20th issue from the National Enquirer. Alright, now that was the September 6th and September 20th, 1977 issues of the National Enquirer. Now I believe by looking at these pictures, you can clearly see that it was not Elvis Presley in the casket. Now in the movie Elvis Found Alive, he tells us that it was a wax figure in the casket, and how there was an air conditioning unit cooling this figure because of the extreme heat in Memphis during August. Now, I believe that this answers a lot of questions concerning how people reported seeing sweat on the body, perspiration. I gotta tell you, dead people don't sweat. But if you do take a wax figure and put it next to an air conditioner, condensation will build up. There will be moisture on the wax. And I believe that this is why people reported seeing sweat on the body. And another thing about this picture, if you look at the nose, it kind of looks like the nose started caving in. Now I believe that this is probably from the extreme heat in August. Now the air conditioning unit was probably cooling the figure from the back, but the nose was exposed to open air, exposed to the heat. And I believe that this caused the wax to start caving in. Kind of like if you take a candle and put it outside during a hot summer day, the candle will deform. I believe that this is why we see the punched nose in this picture. Okay, now what I want to show you is the August 17th, 1977 issue of The Sun that came out the very next day after they told us Elvis had died. Now I think this is very strange that they were able to put this out so quick, especially for a tabloid. Now what you're getting ready to see here is, on the front cover, in bold writing, it says, King Elvis, dead. And then you'll see a picture of what is supposed to be Elvis in concert. Now, this picture has bugged me for many, many years, because what you're getting ready to see here is a picture, and after anybody really looks at this and studies it, I believe you're going to see that this is not Elvis Presley in this picture. Now, I've heard stories over the years that this is really Johnny Hara in this picture. Now, I don't know who this guy really is, but it is very obvious that it is not Elvis. So here is this picture of the 1977 August 17th issue of The Sun. Okay, there it was, the August 17th issue of The Sun. Now, I believe the mystery surrounding this picture is that Elvis just did not want to put his picture on a magazine that said King Elvis Dead. Probably for the same reason he did not want to put his name on the gravestone, and that's why we see the misspelling on the stone. I think the same thing applies here. He just did not want to put a picture on something that said King Elvis Dead. Now, what I've got to show you next is another issue from The Sun. Now, this one came out July 23rd, 1991. Now, this time they are point blank telling us Elvis did not die. And I believe that this is how they have been telling us in newspapers, news publications, that Elvis is alive. So here is this issue from July 23rd, 1991, from The Sun. Okay, that is the July 23rd, 1991 issue of The Sun. Now, in this publication, they are giving us a lot of true information. Information that we know now to be true. And they're not telling us everything in this magazine. Keep in mind that this was 1991 when this came out, and Elvis did not retire from the government until the year 2004, December 2004. Now, at the time of this magazine, I'm sure that they weren't ready for everybody to know that Elvis was a top secret government agent fighting for America. But they are telling us a lot of true information. Information that you will see in the movie An American King, the Elvis Files with Gail Brewer Giorgio. Now you see on the cover of this, it says he signed his own death certificate. And you also see that it says he's under federal protection. We now know this to be true. So I believe that this is just a way that they were putting out the truth for the fans. They did this in tabloids. Now, they made sure they put a lot of tabloids out there with funny pictures and crazy stories. Elvis on a UFO and Bigfoot. But at the same time, I believe they were using the tabloids to tell us the truth. So, when you seen this in the store, you most likely didn't take it seriously. But it was there. Alright. Now what I want to do is look at a couple of movies that Elvis was in. And before I do this, I want to show you a clip from the movie Elvis Found Alive. Now, I believe that this is a great way to introduce these next two movies that we're going to take a look at. We can hear it from the King himself. So here is a little bit from Elvis Found Alive.
Have you been involved at all in the entertainment business in the last 34 years?
Well, there's no way I could perform my music live or star in a film. But you know, it's like the old song, there ain't no business like show business. So I wrote a movie script called Finding Graceland, and Scylla produced it in 1998. It was about myself trying to get back to Graceland, to go home. I had a production company called Boxcar Productions. So Scylla, she let me play the tramp in the boxcar at the end of the picture. Then, I was an avatar. I got to be one of the warriors. I was fighting the bad guys all over again.
I thought you didn't like making movies.
No, I just said I didn't like starring in bad movies.
Okay, that was a little bit from the movie Elvis Found Alive. And you just heard Elvis tell us that he wrote a movie script for a movie called Finding Graceland. And Priscilla produced this movie. Now this movie came out in 1999. And I believe that this is an attempt made by Elvis to show us that he was still here with us. And Priscilla produced this movie. I gotta tell you, I do not believe that Priscilla would be cashing in on the idea that Elvis was alive. She would not be making a movie like this if Elvis really did die. She just is not that way. This is family, and I know that she has way more respect for Elvis. So, I do believe that this was a very big attempt to show the fans and to let people know that Elvis is alive. But this happened over 13 years ago, and there was not enough people who caught on or took this serious enough. And today the world is still unaware that Elvis Presley is alive. Yes, there is a handful of fans who know the truth, and we're loyal fans, but we need people in general, the general public, to know that Elvis is still here with us. And it's up to us to help him out, to let people know the truth. Okay. Now the first thing that I want to show you here is the movie trailer for the movie Finding Graceland that came out in 1999.
Somewhere in the middle of America, two people with nothing in common are about to share something extraordinary.
The name's Elvis. I'm trying to find my way to Memphis.
I mean, have you ever seen anyone so convinced he was Elvis?
Convinced? What's there to doubt? But look at that! An escort!
This man here claims to be Elvis.
Is that right?
You're a drifter.
I travel around, lend a hand to folks who need it.
You hardly even look like Elvis.
I think I look pretty good, considering I've been on my feet for 20 years. My old friend Jerry Lee taught me this trick.
Jerry Lee?
Lewis.
Well, aren't you the one?
I'm the one, baby.
Oh.
How much is it going to cost me? Not a penny. Elvis covered you.
One never knows what's chance and what's fate till the ride is over, Bern.
You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through.
Your wife left you.
She died in a car accident over a year ago.
I'm sorry.
Because something so perfect be taken away from
We all travel at our own pace.
Everybody needs guidance. What difference does it make if you get it from Elvis?
Sometimes a man has to give up what's dearest to him to find peace.
Hey! What a perfect surprise.
From the country that brought you tail fins.
The 1959 convertible is the frame of American history.
Two-tone shoes.
What size shoe did Elvis wear?
12D.
How'd you know that?
And the king.
You're going to be great, Elvis. If you forget any of the words, just do some karate. This guy will love it.
Comes a story of music.
It's never too late for a comeback.
And miracles.
Remember the king!
Okay, now that was the movie trailer for Finding Graceland. Now what I want to do is show you 3 scenes from this movie. Now in the first scene that we're going to take a look at, we see Byron taking Elvis home to Graceland. And when he goes home, there is no one there to welcome him home. Nobody's there to greet him. Now, I believe that what we're getting ready to see here is actually taking place this year in 2012. This year we seen the release of the movie Elvis Found Alive and the CD that went with this movie. And then 3 weeks later we seen the release of the continuing CD. And all throughout the year there has been new music coming out on the internet. And we also seen the events that took place during Elvis Week 2012. Now I believe that Elvis Presley has come home to the fans this year in 2012. And I also believe that if we don't take this seriously, if we don't tell people what is going on, if we don't let people know that Elvis is alive and that he is back and he's trying to let the people know what is going on, that if we don't do something about this, what we're getting ready to see here in this next scene could possibly happen in real life. So I believe it's up to us. Let's help the king of rock and roll out. Let's let the people know that Elvis is alive. Now I know it's a hard thing to do, especially if you're that one person in your town that you live in crying out, "Hey, Elvis is alive." At first people think you're crazy. But as you show people what has been coming out this year in 2012 and all the other evidence and music that has came out over the years that has passed, people will start seeing the truth that yes, Elvis Presley is alive. Now, in this next scene that we're getting ready to look at, we also see what I believe to be a very big clue that they're giving us in this movie. They're basically showing us that when Elvis comes back, when he comes home, he's going to be going by the name of John Burroughs. And we see a part of this at the end of this next scene that we're getting ready to look at. And I believe that this is the reason that they have made a connection with the name John Burroughs and Elvis. So, here is this first scene from the movie Finding Graceland.
I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a beat, walking in Memphis. But do I really feel the way I feel?
I gotta tell you something. This ain't the first time I've tried coming home. Honestly, I've held up that cardboard sign around my birthday just about every year in the past 20 now. Only I've never come this close before. Guess I owe it to my chance meeting with you. A man who shares as much history with this town as I do. So promise me something?
What's that?
If I turn and run, shoot me in the back.
I'll be right behind you.
Walking with my feet 10 feet off a beat. Walking in Memphis. But do I really feel the way I feel?
Tour's closed in preparation for the vigil tonight, gentlemen.
I understand. This man here claims to be Elvis.
Is that right?
Sorry I'm late. It's been a long road home.
I'm sorry, sir. There must be some mistake. The line forms at 7. Why not come back then, and we'll try to bump you to the front of it.
Well, I guess that ends that.
Ends what? The boys used to play this game with me all the time. Lock me out, testing how long it took for me to break into my own home. And you can bet right now they're in the dining room laughing their heads off at our expense. We'll show them. Back out of here. Here.
Hey! Hey! Please, don't do this. I don't want to get arrested again.
I've gotten you this far safely, haven't I?
I'm insane. Okay.
Hello? I'm home.
Maybe we should go.
Don't be silly. Just look surprised when they jump out. out of here.
I saw your clipping about the plane crash.
Son, you really bought that tale? Hell, I had that thing printed up ages ago. Like yourself, some folks need me to have a more believable identity before they can accept my sympathy.
Everything about this trip. Fixing the car, getting arrested, meeting Ashley. You planned it all, didn't you?
One never knows what's chance and what's fate till the ride is over, Bern.